Hey y'all, thanks for joining. I'm Nia George. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, please don't forget to hit the like or subscribe button. Today, I wanted to speak a little bit about these dating apps, my experience with them, and why I believe you should not use them. So stick around, again, hit the like or subscribe, and let's get in it. In 2020, that was my first experience with dating apps. And I tell you, I don't even know what drove me to it. Well, I do know what drove me to it. I was intentionally wanting to date. I never dated. So I told you in the last message that I got married when I was 21, and I got married to a man I was with from the time I was literally 15. 16 we moved in together, and when I was 21 we got married. So I had no dating experience. I didn't even know anything about that world. So I did want to experience dating after divorce. Now we were divorced at that time about 7 years when I decided, okay, I want to just date someone, understand this process, and try to navigate that world. But didn't know where to start. I was already older. I was already at that time, like 43 or so. And I didn't know where to start. I didn't want to start with people that I already knew necessarily in my community, because I did a lot of work with community development, community advocacy, and I didn't want to have lines kind of be blurred. So I had nowhere to go and nobody to ask to hook me up with someone. So I turned to dating apps. I heard all the commercials, and of course, you think of red car and then you see a red car everywhere. As soon as I said I want to date, I heard all the commercials for eHarmony, Plenty of Fish, and all of the other apps. And I tried my hand at, trying to think, which one did I start with? It wasn't eHarmony, because I remember I didn't want to pay for one. I mean, that was the first problem, right? You don't want to pay for one, and so you get what you pay for. But I think I started with that swiping app. So I started with that, and it just felt wrong. It felt contrary to what I had said in my intention to God that I wanted to do, which was, really find a man of God, and wait until God bring the right person to me. And, I just felt like I was going against the grain, because you hear all the time that, one, God is not going to bring you somebody, or you're not going to find somebody just sitting in your house. You're not going to just find somebody being brought to you, and you got to get out there. You got to date. You got to, mingle. And even advice that was given to me once was, you got to kiss a few bad frogs before you find your prince. I tell all people now, forget all of that. Forget all of that. It sounds good. It sound like, it could be right. It sound like, yeah, how is God going to bring somebody to you when you are not out there in the field showing people that you are available? That's knowledge that is built on the world standards. Those are wisdoms and adages that are built on people who are not believers in Christ, who don't necessarily believe and know the power of God. In the Bible, he says over and over again what he will do for us, and there are plenty of examples of people who were not looking and received their prince. Consider Naomi and Ruth, the story of Ruth and Boaz coming to her. She didn't go out looking for a man. She didn't go out swiping. She went out basically just to get food for her and her mother-in-law. And her prince, her king, was literally the field that she wound up in. So don't consider that you got to be out there, or it's anything that you have to do besides doing what you normally would do, being faithful to God, interacting in the world, serving, doing community events, doing all of the things that you normally do, and you will interact with people. Now, I say that to say, if you're a person who is like just in the house unless you're looking for a mailman, you probably will need to at least go out to the supermarket to run into people. So anyway, I continued on. I found that little swiping app and went through the process of swiping left, swiping right, rejecting people who were letting me know they had an interest in me, but upon viewing their profiles, I had nothing in common or no interest in them. There was a gentleman that I did find on the site, or he found me on the site, and I thought he was a good prospect. He met, the basic checkbox of the requirements that I had in communicating with him. We had a good rapport. The only thing, he had an old name, and I told my sister-in-law about his name. I was like, his name is this. She was like, that's an old name, girl. And I'm like, but no, he's not old. He's this age. He said he's 50. He's not old. So, I wound up going to meet him. We established a public meeting space for dinner. And I went to meet him for dinner, and lo and behold, yeah, he was old. So it was hilarious that, it was so much of a difference from the picture that they put on site that I had to ask him. I was like, I need to see your ID. How old are you? You can't be 50. And he was like, does it really matter? Does it really matter? Now, that was the indication that he was not 50. As soon as he's like, does it really matter? I was like, oh, goodness, this man got to be like 65. So I, ended that pretty early because, one, I was annoyed with the fact that he lied. You already starting off on the wrong foot. Lying, it doesn't work for me. Even if it's something about your age, that was a significant difference from being 50 to 65. That's a huge difference in somebody's life. And I had no interest in them. So I ended that day early, got home, called my sister. I said, guess what? It was like, what? He's old. So I thought that was funny. So yeah, that was on, I can't remember the name of that swipe site, but either way, I was kind of done with that site after that. And not only was I done, I was discouraged. I've been like, because really I felt that this is all that this will bring me. People who are liars. And I'm going to have to spend a lot of time weeding through the crap in order to really find somebody genuine and sincere, right? So I was really done with that site and didn't know where to go next. So now I'm done. Knowing that this is not the avenue that I need to take in order to really wait for God to bring me who's supposed to be with me, right? Still really standing true to what I know. However, again, we have these messengers, people who have influence over us that we feel may have more experience. So we kind of listen to them, right? And that's where I get that, well, sometimes you gotta kiss a few frogs before you find your prince, which I am totally opposed of hearing and saying now. So you will never hear me say that to you, and don't accept that. But I continue to persevere. I listened to it at that time, persevere, and found Facebook also had a site that was similar. But the beauty of Facebook site is that you can see who you may have a connection with that also have other similarities to you, such as they may have attended similar concerts or venues or movies or schools or shopping centers or anything that you may have attended. And funny thing, wind up making a connection with a guy. Hold on a minute. Google, stop. Making a connection with the guy. I gotta take my son to football practice. But anyway, making a connection with the guy who was his children attended the same high school that my children attended. And he went through my photos and videos and brought to my attention a video that I took that he was actually in. He was sitting 2 seats ahead of us at this football game, and both of our children were in the band. So that was well, I meet this guy, and he was dynamic. He was great. It was a wonderful experience. Well, we already had a great experience with our communication. We had gradually evolved our texting through the app to speaking on a phone, and it was wonderful. We had great banter. I mean, it was on point. He was sarcastic. I could be sarcastic. We enjoyed the same music, the same shows, and both really loved our kids, wanted them to exceed and excel. Both had been divorced. I mean, it was just right on point in meeting this person. And then to top it off, right? So I have a dream. And I had a dream, and it was pretty realistic. I have a lot of visions and a lot of dreams, so you're going to hear this a lot because I believe in the prophetic, and I practice in my prophetic ministry at my church. So having dreams and visions is not going to be new to me, and it's not certainly not going to be new to you as you get to know me. You'll hear it a lot. But I had a vision, a dream rather, and in this dream I was leaning against a tall man on a car, and it was a black Jeep. And I felt great leaning against this man. We were laughing and just really enjoying each other. And so I held that dream. I wrote it down in my journal. And I, along with my other thoughts, that God had provided to me. And it was just a wonderful confirmation to have, or sign to look for. So at our first meeting, we met at a park where we walked around and really, again, we met at Piedmont Park, really walked around, further getting to know each other, explaining each other's life stories, spent hours there, just sitting on different rocks and enjoying each other's company. And it was, pretty amazing. He was walking me back to my car, and on my way back to my car, we passed his car, and he had a black Jeep. So at that, I felt, boy, this is confirmation. This is perfect. I found who I am supposed to be with, right? And there was nothing else you can tell me after that. I couldn't wait to get home and tell my sister and read to her my journal entry about the dream and express to her also what I had discovered with him having the Jeep. So, yeah. Okay, I'm back. I had to take note of football practice and really wanted to finish up this video tonight so I could get it out, but didn't want to leave it at a standstill or a cliffhanger. So picking up where I left off, I met the gentleman who it seemed like there was confirmation because he had a Jeep and he was tall. He met the description of the vision that I had, and so I was really excited about this. And this was like May of 2020. Also, the time that Frank dropped in my messenger was also about May of 2020, and we got together with that luncheon, just catching up as friends, checking in because it was many years since we had interacted. I think I told you last we worked together was in 2012, and during that time I was married. I didn't know he was married, but he, had not done anything out of line to me that made me think, otherwise, but we were just business associates. So continue to talk to this other guy that I met on that Facebook app, going forward with that communication, and really enjoyed that communication. However, it seemed like abruptly, I have to say, we was talking in May, we met in June, probably by July and August, the communication started to change. And it wasn't so much the communication, the frequency, but the attitude. And so let me just interject here a caveat. The gentleman that I met and started interacting with, he had some personal things that was happening with his health. And I knew that upon meeting him, we had discussed some of those items that he was doing in his personal life with his health. that could have an impact on whether or not he decided if he wanted to have a relationship beyond just a casual relationship. So that was already something that was understood, or at least made known when we met. And I did take that into consideration throughout the conversation. But also throughout the conversation and getting to know each other, there was an indication of, yeah, this is something that I may want to pursue and I may want to progress in from his side. So that's why the situation, the personal situation that he was going through with his health was not necessarily forefront. And it didn't come forefront to me until, I'd say, August, when he had to take some time to go handle some things with that that required him to do some medical treatments, or required him just to not be available or to communicate the way that we were once communicating. And so with that, you kind of understand that naturally somebody's health comes first, opposed to any kind of relationship or progressing to a relationship. And that was completely understood. However, come September, he kind of changed from, look, I'm kind of taking care of my business with my health, to getting mean. It was not, it was just mean. And I'm not even going to try to address it any other way, or try to sugarcoat it. It came from when we first met to, I believe in God. I believe that God is a healer. I believe that all things happen for whatever purposes, to a series of doubt, depression, anger. And that anger started to be reflected towards me, where it was no longer that we were partnering together, but I felt like my presence was not necessarily welcome, and I was a problem, and he didn't need me. He didn't need me in his life. He needed to really begin to focus on what it was that he was going through. So we would have the ups and down days, and then he would come and say, okay, it's really not you, it's me, I'm going through something. And then he'll come back and be like, you know what, I'm good, we're good, and we'll try to pull it back together. And I was kind of I was disappointed, because again, remember, I had the dream, I had the vision, I had what I thought was confirmation that this person was somebody who was supposed to be in my life, and I was supposed to be in his life. So I was really frustrated with the ups and downs of the scenario, and going to God, trying to figure out, okay, God, what is this? Ultimately, I wound up saying to God, if this is not who I'm supposed to be with, remove them, right? Remove them from me, because I'm, literally confused. I had a vision, I had a word from you, and this person presented themselves to be that. And it is now turning upside down. So I need you to do the work and remove them, right? So after stating that, I'll tell you, it had to be probably like a week after, where this person met with me, and they told me that they finally said, you know what, I'm not in a position to where I want to be in a relationship, or I want to be serious in a relationship, because I am going through some health challenges, and I really want to focus on that. What do you say to somebody who's going through that? You wish them well, right? You wish them well. You apologize. You thank them for the acquaintance and the meeting and the time that they did spend in your life, and you wish them well, and you move on. So that's what I did. I wished them well. I'm not going to say I moved on gracefully, because when I got home, I was so sad. I was sad and angry, because I felt like I wasted time. I was just like, God, what is happening here? So that was in like the end of September when that broke off. And so I spent pretty much the rest of September moping around. Probably nobody noticed it, but my spirit noticed it. God noticed it, right? Because my heart was low. And going back to the drawing board, reviewing my journal, just really seeing, okay, what did I not hear correctly? What did I miss? What is this all about? So I go back to drawing board. October pass, November holidays pass, and December. Here we are in December, and Christmas. And on Christmas Day, I am sitting in my kitchen and I am cooking. I'm not sad or anything. I'm not depressed or anything anymore. I have kind of gotten over it, and started just doing preparations for my family for that Christmas dinner, really enjoying life again, enjoying my kids, and enjoying being back into my process of me, enjoying myself and waiting on God. And so Christmas Day, I get a text, and it just says Merry Christmas, and it's a picture, and I open it to see, and the text is from Frank, and the picture is him with the Santa Claus hat on, and it was pretty wonderful that I got that text, because I was literally just sitting at the kitchen counter, not doing anything but chopping up some vegetables, and just thanking God for another holiday season. And I felt at that moment really grateful and just thankful to then get that text notification sound and look down and see a picture of Frank saying Merry Christmas. And I was like, yeah, Merry Christmas to you. What are you up to? He told me he was at his family's house, and all that they were doing. And throughout the remainder of that day, we just literally text back and forth, nonstop, about nonsense, anything, everything. We were texting, and we were texting as if we were old friends who had not missed a beat since seeing each other. My last time we saw each other was like in May, when we went on that luncheon just to get to know each other. We had not spoken again after that reacquaintance luncheon. We did not speak again by even on social media. He probably would like some things that I post. I looked at his site, which he didn't have a lot on because he was not doing social media. Pretty much like now, he doesn't do it that much. And I like some things that he posts, but there was no other kind of communication or no discussion or follow-up. And then a few days after Christmas, he wrote me and he said something like, you ghost me. And I was like, ghost you? And he's like, yeah, you ghost me. I sent you a message after our meeting and you never said anything. I sent you a message. He said, I sent you a message saying, why don't we get together again? And you never said anything. And I tell him, and I tell everybody, I had never seen this message. I had no thought after our meeting. It felt like, wow, I saw an old friend. That was a great luncheon, period, the end, I had no idea that he sent me something else, because I don't know, I may have gotten bombarded in my other messages. But then he asked me out again. He said, so in the new year, we should get together again. And this time, don't ghost me, and we'll get together again. So this time, I knew that he was really asking me out on a date. And I was just joking when I said, on a date? And a date in January? He's like, yes, a date. I'm like, wow, a date? And so we got together the first week in January. I went to the movies. And so that was the beginning of my dating with Frank, is the first week in January. But what brought me here was to really talk to you about the dating apps, and how I just don't think, if you are a person, if you are a believer in Christ, who is waiting on God to bring you, and this is to women. I'm sure men could take this advice, but more so women, because the Bible says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. So if you are a believer in Christ, women, we should stay the course. Stay the course, stay focused on God's word, stay in his environments and within the realms that he wants us in. And it's not necessarily that going on dating apps or doing anything else is bad. It's not like it's a sin. It's not like you're doing something wrong. However, you're wasting a lot of time. You're wasting a lot of time, and you always wind up doing detours, and these detours and distractions that are thrown your way really muddy the water, complicate the situation, give you a lot more heartbreak than if you just stay the course that you know to be true. So just to really put a pin in this so that you know that I'm not just out here talking. So I met Frank on that first date on January, I'm going to say it was like January 4th. I'll have to put some more accurate dates once I look through my calendar, because I did keep notes. But January 4th, we went on a date to, I think we actually went to eat. And he did pick me up at my house. He picked me up at my house in a Mercedes. It was a beautiful car, beautiful vehicle, loved it, really enjoyed it. But still, I had in my mind, right, what the vision that I had and what I had written down in my notebook. And at that time, I just chalked it up to, okay, maybe that was wrong. Maybe the vision was not for now. Maybe it was for, maybe I just saw the wrong thing, right? Maybe it was something that Satan just put in my mind, getting me excited because he knew that that person was going to come into my life, and I would be, moving forward in that direction, contrary to the direction I should be in, which is waiting on God. So when Frank pulled up in January in a Mercedes, it was no, thought or anything. We went out, we had a wonderful time. I really enjoyed him. And it actually was the first time that I saw his car, because when we went out in May, he was already at a restaurant. I arrived late, and so he was at the restaurant seated, and I came in and took my seat beside him. So I never saw his vehicle in May. And when he picked me up in January, he had a Mercedes. On our second date, I think the first date was actually to a Mexican restaurant. The second date was to a movies. And so when he picked me up on the second date, I came out my house, and I looked, and beside my house was parked a black Jeep. Frank was, at the door, and so what was parked was a black. So the black Jeep was parked beside my house, and I didn't think anything of it, because remember, January, he showed up with a white car. So he escorted me through my gate, and I was thinking his car was parked behind. I have side street parking here, so I was thinking his white car was parked behind the black Jeep. But he walks up to the black Jeep and begins to open the passenger door, and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's like, I'm trying to get you into the car. I'm trying to get you into my car. And I'm like, well, where's your white car? He's like, no, this is my car. And I'm like, well, but you had a white car. He was like, well, yeah. He was, I guess, getting some work done on this car. He was like, but no, this is my car. I've had this car for a while. This is my car. Trust me. You getting in? And I was just standing there shocked, like, in disbelief that, he had a black Jeep, because here it is again, my vision, my dream, tall man with the black Jeep. And he would have had this Jeep in May, when we first had gotten together for that reconnection luncheon, but I didn't see it. He was already parked and already seated. Um, so it was just crazy that I'm like standing there like with this big stupid smile on my face laughing because it was like, oh wow, God, you know what you're doing, you really know what you're doing. And I found that to be such a great testament to God's sovereignty and his faithfulness, and exactly knowing the desires of my heart and giving me the desires of my heart. So I really learned a lesson throughout that time period. And the lesson was that, Satan will throw in distractions and throw in things to get you off course. But when you trust in the Lord, you believe in his word and in his power, as well as his hand over your life, you have to be patient and stay the course and continue to do the things you know to be true. However, at the same time, even if you go off course and deviate, try to take matters in your own hands, God is still so merciful and good that he can realign it and get you back on course. Now, there may be some hardships, like I had a little heartache by deviating, trying to take matters into my own hands. However, God still brought me back on track and ultimately connected me with the person who I was meant to be with. So, I know, long story, just to tell you, stay encouraged, stay true to what you know. You don't have to go on none of those apps and swipe left and right. You don't have to go out here being desperate or feeling desperate, looking all around for who it is you are supposed to be with. Take your petition to God and then begin to redirect your focus to yourself in preparing yourself to be the person that Mr. Perfect is supposed to be with. You want to be prepared for that opportunity. You want to be right. You want to be contented so that when they come, you're happy, they're happy. And then even if they don't come in your time frame, you're still happy and you're not frustrated and grasping at straws and causing more heartache for yourself. So I hope you enjoyed. Any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Any thoughts, I'd love to hear them. Subscribe, share. We're really trying to build up our channel here because we're marriage advocates and we want to help others who have experienced similar situations or who may be going through some things. And most importantly, I know I want to help people before they even go through some of the heartache and some of the pains that I've been through. So until next time, have a great week. Bye.